Hey guys, Zane here from the Nexus Schoolhouse, bringing you another over-explained video, this time from the perspective of ranged assassin Genji. Genji is a bit of a controversial hero. People tend to love him or hate him. He was considered to be quite a frustrating hero to play against. On his release date, he was definitely completely broken. He's been nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed and nerfed, and now he's in a state where he's basically not playable for the vast majority of the user base. I really think this hero deserves a rework or a balance patch of some sort, just to make him feel a little less feast or famine and a little more consistent for the majority of the player base. But right now we're going to show off our mechanics. We're going to show off what we can do when we're playing absolutely primed. We're going to find a lot of flashy kills in the early game, and really I picked this Genji just to punish the enemy Falstad. I wanted to punish the Falstad pick by being able to rotate on him, be able to cut off his rotations. Right here we're going to aggressively E forward, press W, and right there we're going to get the stun from Uther, so we're going to back right off. Just looking for chip damage, looking to see how the enemy team reacts, trying to get a feel of what's going on in this game. We do manage to pick up the double globe there, great, and we are playing double support with Zeratul Cassia, so we are very, very HP, not starved, but plentiful? I don't really know what the word I'm looking for is here. We have a lot of resources to play with. Right here, I'm just looking for dismounts on the enemy Diablo. I'm looking to harass him, and right here I see he's already down to half a bar, so I'm going to opt to E through him and continue to chip. Stukov is going to find the silence, and Uther is going to find the stun, and we're actually able to just finish him off right there. Kind of poor play by the enemy tank, but it is a little bit difficult to understand your limitations when you are playing into such a aggressive double support comp. That really wants to just punish enemy heroes as aggressively as it can. Now, Zeratul is going to find a nice pick in the mid with the aid of the friendly Uther, and at this point in time, I'm going to opt to go start the left-hand camp. We're going to take this time to talk about our build. We opted for Swift as the Wind with Strike at the heart. Level 7, bit of a decision, bit of a toss-up. We ended up going Augmented Guard so I could get a little bit of a shield following my X-Strike, or before my X-Strike, which I'm going to opt to go for because I'd like a little bit of burst damage to follow up on my team's stuns and various CC. And again, we're going to be able to punish this Diablo. He's going to face check this bush. We're going to opt to E through the enemy Lucio right there. And right here, we're just going to W on the wave, and we're able to finish off the enemy Diablo just barely on the tail end with that Cassia Q. Fantastic play by her. 13, we're going to offer Flow Like Water to further reduce the cooldown. Steady Blade gives us a bit more burst damage versus the level 16 final cut option. And at 20, we're just going to opt for Living Weapon. Now at this point in time, I'm going to finish that Lucio by Eing through Wing. I'm going to get a lot of reflex thanks to the Lucio's high attack speed, and we're able to just finish him off straight away. If we take a quick look at the enemy Lucio's death report, we can see that he took quite a bit of damage from deflect. So he went from 100% to 0, or rather from his 30% state to 0. And we got that Swift Strike in right there. There's the deflect damage, and then the Strike at the heart to finish. Strike at the heart got buffed relatively recently to have all the damage up front under a second rather than over 2 seconds, which is very helpful in resetting, getting those quick kills. As we know, on Genji specifically, if you manage to find a kill with the E touching the enemy hero within 1.5 seconds of the hero dying, you immediately get a refund of the mana and the cooldown, which is what allows Genji to be a very, very flashy hero and get very, very high quality kills, assuming you have the mechanics to pull them off to begin with. If you'd like to practice Genji, don't feel afraid, just jump right into a quick match game, pick the E build, pick the easy build, and look to line up your E's and try to get lots of reflections off of minion waves. And besides that, simply look to strike at the heart on the enemy ranged minions and get as much siege as you can between your kills. That's really all there is to this hero. Everything that comes after that is just extra. Gravy on the top. Right here, we're looking at a kill on this Falstad. I'm debating Eing here in a few seconds, but we don't have quite enough damage for me to finish that hero easily. And right here, we're going to opt to E forward, W, get a couple of reflections. A little bit scared of this Diablo, but I managed to distract the Diablo from the Uther, so my Uther doesn't die. We're going to look to auto attack, start clearing out this minion wave right here. And I think in a moment, I'm going to see that Falstad, yes, he's going to opt to fly in, so I'm going to E through directly immediately, press my W to absorb a lot of damage, and then back up with my D. At this point in time, I've kind of run out of resources. I don't really have much mana left. Genji is a very mana intensive hero. If you're going to press all his buttons, you're going to run very, very quickly. Every hero has a law I like to call the 1.5 rule. You can spam 1.5 buttons and you will not run out of mana. The second you start pressing more than that, you will start to run into a deficit. So if you want to keep your mana bar high, try to press only one ability. This is the same for Tyrael, it's the same for Uther, it's the same for Stukov, it's the same for most heroes in the game. I'm able to D-forward, find an E onto Falstad. I do end up missing that Q, I threw it in the wrong direction, and because of that I'm quite unable to find the kill. Small mistakes like that will really punish you on Genji, especially when you miss your Qs, because your Qs are really what's making up for your relatively low damage, right? You have to be able to hit those skill shots. I do try to find reflections right here in order to get some damage off my deflect, but I actually failed to find anything significant. The attack speed of those shots is a little bit slower than I expected. I look for a dismount on the Diablo right here to protect my Uther, and then I'm going to E through right here, and then I'm going to look to hug the enemy DPS and potentially reflect as much as I can. Stukov's going to find a nice burst heal right here. We're going to continue to chip down this Zul'jin, who's going to die on the backside, and then we're going to try to D out. Our D gets interrupted by this Diablo, but we're able to E out at the very end, and at this point in time, we're completely done. My tap isn't going to give me enough resources, so I'm just going to base. And again, good Genji players would not have to back nearly as much as I do. Good Genji players have better management of their resources. They wouldn't be spamming their W, they wouldn't be spamming their Q, they'd be finding more damage with their auto attacks and their E's. Try to be a little more conscious of that when you're trying to improve it this year, because mana usage is definitely a place where you can improve by, and improving at mana usage is what allows you to stay on the map, and staying on the map allows you to affect the game more, and map uptime really contributes to win rate in a big way. I'd really like to do a video just talking about how map uptime can contribute to winning a game, and not dying and staying alive that entire game increases your win rate by a huge margin. We're going to D then E here just to grab that last EXP globe. I didn't want to miss any amount of EXP because we are ahead by a level right now, and I'd really like to get ourselves up to 10. At this point in time, we see the enemy Diablo. I knew he wasn't going to quite make it in time to queue me into this little wall segment, just because he probably doesn't have low enough ping, and he would have had to have been spamming his Q key before I even came into view in order to catch me there. I'm going to get a little bit of damage onto this Diablo, a couple of autos, a couple of Qs. I'm going to get flipped over right here, but I'm perfectly safe. And at this point in time, we notice that the Diablo is isolated from the rest of his team. This is what Genji excels at, making these isolations happen by pressuring the enemy team into making split decisions that are incorrect. And when they make those split decisions, you can immediately punish in any direction because you have so much range on your E. So we're immediately going to look to punish this Diablo, start pumping damage into him as much as possible, and we're able to reduce him all the way down to a third. And that's going to be the Diablo out of resources. I do believe he has his tap available. We can see right here in the top right corner, healing fountain available. He's going to have to go replenish his resources. Here's where we find a very nice, very flashy kill. Going to see the enemy Falstad go to tap here. I know that there's a minion wave coming because I can see my minion wave on my part of the map. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to opt to E through him, W the minion wave, reflect a lot of damage, and then finish him off. And right here, we E through, we find the W, finish him off, and then we E out. Genji's reset off of his E, if you finish a target within 1.5 seconds of hitting that target with the E, is one of the flashiest parts of his kit. And you really need to be able to consistently finish targets that are behind a fort in order for you to maximize the value coming out of this hero. So don't be afraid to int just a little bit too much when you are learning this hero. Don't be afraid to dive behind forts and try to find those opportunistic kills with the E. You do need to get used to the concept of guessing where a target is behind a wall and just blind E-ing and assuming that you're going to hit, and then trying to finish that target with an auto attack or a Q, and then E back out. The best Genjis are consistently able to finish targets that run away, and that is why they are considered to be good Genjis, because they're guaranteeing a target is closed. Closing a kill is probably one of the most underrated parts of playing this game, and by closing a kill, I mean there is the opening of the bar, such as a Tychus minigun, a Li Ming combo, a Stukov combo in this case, and then there's the closing of the bar, which is finishing off that last little bit, which is what Genji excels at with his Swift Strike, with his X Strike, with his Shingen, with really every part of his kit. Right here, we're going to opt for an E into an X Strike directly on Diablo. We do end up missing that, unfortunately. And then we're just going to look to chip this Diablo right down. I know the Uther is going to go in the bush, so I'm looking for my E here. But an APOC comes out, and that actually distracts me. I end up backing up, and then I E through. Managed to find the finish on the Diablo, E through the Lucio, but the Lucio dies before my E can even hit. We're going to look for a little bit of burst damage onto the Zul'jin, D out to safety, and at this point, we're pretty much done. Now, we can take a quick look at the stats here, and we can see that I'm leading in hero damage by a factor of almost 2, doubling the Cassius damage, but we can see Zeratul also has a pair of kills to his name with 7k damage. The amount of damage isn't super useful as a statistic telling you how good you are at the game, but when you're leading by a damage by this much, you can generally tell that you are farming quite well. Now, I will point out the difference between HGC Genjis and casual Genjis is not found in the hero damage, but rather the siege damage. Consistently, professional Genjis will double or triple the average siege damage of an amateur Genji every single game on every single map. And the reason this is possible is because they simply use their E on the tail end of the minions. They're very efficient with the time they spend on the map. For example, Genji on mid lane on Dragonshire is a specialty, right? That's a fantastic mid laner who can rotate top, who can rotate bot, who can pretty much do anything. The same as Zeratul or Maiev. Fantastic hero at holding awkward lanes or potentially just anchoring a lane and then rotating out to find a pick. Right here, we do manage to dodge the false dead just barely. I believe he sees into this bush right here, and he sees us when he goes overhead us, but he's not quite quick enough to find the kill. Lucky for us that we didn't die there. We definitely deserved to by hearthing in such an aggressive position that could have very easily gotten punished. At this point in time, we're pretty much in the driver's seat. As long as we don't cock up too much, we should be good here. I'm going to look to E aggressively. I do miss my E, and I'm trying to bait this Diablo into committing on me so that I can pop my W, get a huge shield, and then back up, look for an X-Strike. I do find the X-Strike on 2 heroes, but I'm not quite able to finish. I have my E available now. I'm going to look to finish off any target that I can get my hands on. We do find the kill on the Zul'jin without me. At this point in time, I'm a little bit chunked out, but I know I have double support, so being able to refill my HP bar is not going to be that much of an issue. We're going to fast forward here through the finish line because the start of this game was really the part of the game that set us far, far ahead. At this point in time, we're so firmly in the driver's seat that there's no real way for us to lose besides us throwing the game. So how did we get to this state? How exactly did we get to a position where we are so far ahead that the enemy team has no chance of winning? Well, number one, on the draft screen, we counterpicked Falstad by picking Genji, who is pretty much his arch enemy. And right there, I'm going to misclick my X-Strike and fail to hit that Falstad. Whoops. But not the end of the world, because again, we're still a level up, we're up walls, we're up structures, and we're pretty far ahead on shots, 36 to 20. That means we're winning pretty much every single objective, except that bottom one at the very start of the game. And really, the way we got to this position was simply by harassing enemy rotations, looking for chip damage on the enemy tank, and then punishing the enemy tank when he made mistakes. Genji is fantastic for simply punching the front line and looking to trade with them as efficiently as possible. You've got a lot of resources under your belt that you can use to trade damage with the opponent without running into an HP deficit yourself. You're not going to be able to do the same thing into, say, a Gul'dan who can heal himself, or a Mephisto who's got Spite, but you can do this into a hero like Diablo who doesn't really have much self-sustain when he's not fighting heroes, especially an auto-attack Diablo like the one that we're fighting today. And that's pretty much it for the rest of this video, guys. I'm just going to fast forward on to the end, but that pretty much cuts it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of departure from what I regularly do. I'm usually sticking to tanks and offlaners, but I did find myself with a one-off Genji game, and it was quite nice for me to find those 2 kills behind the fort. I was pretty happy with my performance this time around. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys have a good one. Take care, and we'll see you in the Nexus.